What's up, everybody? Jay the Zoomster here, and today we're looking at my first prediction for the 2024 United States Senate elections. The United States Senate is currently held by the Democrats with 51 seats to 49 Republican seats. However, that is likely to change in 2024 as Democrats have to hold on to 3 states that Trump won by pretty large margins in 2020, as well as defend states that are hugely swing states as well. The only states they really have a chance of picking up are states that are still fairly Republican across the board, leading to a pretty bad map as far as things are considered. Let's go ahead and get started with the safe states, starting with the Republicans. Republicans can easily be expected to hold on to Wyoming, Utah, both Nebraska races, North Dakota, Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee, Indiana, and they'll be able to make their first auto flip of West Virginia. It's currently held by Democrat Joe Manchin, or I guess independent, that caucuses with the Democrats Joe Manchin. He's not running for re-election. Very popular incumbent Governor Jim Justice is, however, and I don't think that even Joe Manchin would have won the race if he ran again. I think he would probably still lose by over 10 points. West Virginia is going to go very heavily for the Republican Party. Moving over now, we can talk about the safe states for Democrats. Democrats can be expected to hold Washington, California, Hawaii, New Mexico, Minnesota. Amy Klobuchar is a very popular incumbent. She's won by 20 points in most of her elections, and they have not really nominated a very electable Republican for this position. New York, Vermont, and Maine, 2 other independents, but they caucus with the Democrats, so we'll count them as a Democrat seat. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and Delaware. Those are the safe Democratic seats. I think that these are pretty much agreed upon to be the safe seats. Maybe Minnesota, you could say I'm being a little too nice to Klobuchar. However, I really just don't see a scenario in which she loses. Keep in mind that my ratings are not based off of margin. They are based purely off of the likeliness that a state goes a specific way. So if I think it's safe, I really see no realm of possibility in which that can change. If I think it's likely, I think it's very, very much leaning in that category, but I think that there could be an instance where it gets pulled off by the other party. If it's lean, I think it's just simply leaning there, and that could easily change. And then if it's tilt, I am not confident at all, but I wanted to make a call. Moving into the likely Republican states, up next, we have the state of Florida. The reason I have Florida at likely instead of safe is because I think Marco Rubio in 2022 was a much stronger incumbent. I think Rick Scott has a history of winning very, very narrow races. However, I think he will win by a comfortable margin of around 5 to 7 points in this election, maybe underperforming Donald Trump a little bit in the state of Florida. And I think that on an exceptionally good night where Trump has a terrible night, the Republicans have a terrible night, and a huge landslide, I think that the Democrats could pull out a win in Florida. I just don't see that happening. The same is true for Texas. I think Texas has a better shot at flipping than Florida, personally. I think Ted Cruz is a very unpopular candidate. However, Colin Allred is not showing any signs of strength like Beto O'Rourke might have in 2018, and he's running an infinitely worse campaign. So therefore, I really don't see Texas flipping either. When looking at the margins, that is a little upsetting for Democrats because those are the only 2 states they really have a shot at flipping in this election. Moving on to the likely states for the Democrats, we can go ahead and move Virginia into likely. I believe that they will win Virginia very easily with very little issues. I don't think Hung Kao is going to really win the election in the state. I think that at the end of the day, Tim Kaine is very, very popular here, and I think that it would take a massive overperformance of Republicans in Virginia to flip the state. I'll also have Bob Casey in Pennsylvania winning that Senate seat as well. I think, again, very similar to Virginia, that I would need to see a lot more data moving forward for me to put it to lean. I just don't see a scenario in which David McCormick is able to flip Pennsylvania right now. Bob Casey Jr. is very, very popular here, and I think that he's going to end up holding on. Another state that I think is likely Democrat is the state of Maryland. Larry Hogan is running as the Republican nominee. I don't think he has a shot. I don't think he really even gets the race within 15 points, but I think that stranger things have happened in electoral politics, and I think if the polls are extremely wrong and the Republican direction, considering he's led in a couple polls and he's not that far behind, I think is very, very possible that we could see Larry Hogan win on an exceptionally good night for Republicans. I don't think that they're going to get that night in this upcoming election, so I'm going to say that it is likely Democrat. The final likely Democratic state for me is going to be the state of Arizona. Carrie Lake is a very, very unpopular candidate. She lost the gubernatorial race in Arizona in 2022 to an opponent that barely campaigned and continued to poll horribly throughout the election. Ruben Gallego is polling exceptionally well against her, leading in every single poll, even when Donald Trump wins the polls in Arizona. Even though currently I have Donald Trump predicted to win Arizona, I think Arizona is very easily going to go to Ruben Gallego, and I think the Democrats are going to hold Kirsten Sinema's seat. That is it for my likely states for both parties. Now we're going to be getting into the toss-up states. The first state that we're going to talk about is for the Republicans. We are going to be talking about a lean state. The state of Montana is lean. This state has gone from tilt in my personal ratings to lean for my first public rating, purely because Jon Tester's polling has continued to get worse. However, stranger things have happened again. He's won comfortably every time he's run. I think that there's a very real chance that he could possibly pull out a win if the Democrats are doing very, very well on election night. However, I do have Montana going to the Republicans by a decent margin, probably around 6 to 7 points. If he really underperforms and does really poorly, it could probably be within 10 points. Jon Tester's still going to overperform Trump, who I think is going to win the state by around 15 to 20 points. Moving into the lean states for the Democrats, I think that Wisconsin is a pretty easy hold for the Democrats. I do think that Eric Hovde could make a huge play for the state. I think that the margin for the state, they could be very, very narrow. Currently, though, I think the Democrats hold on to the Wisconsin Senate seat. I don't think that Hovde is as good as some people say, but I think that he is a lot better than some other people will give him credit for. I'll also say the state of Nevada will be likely Democrat. I don't think Jackie Rosen's going to lose. I think Sam Brown is not a very good candidate. I think he's not doing very well in campaigning. All the polls have Jackie Rosen up very high. And just, I think as far as Senate candidates go, they're all underrunning Trump by a decent margin. And I think right now I'm fairly confident in Jackie Rosen pulling out in Nevada. I could even move this one toward likely in the future, but currently right now I'm sitting at lean because I think on a really good night where Donald Trump sweeps the Electoral College and carries a bunch of candidates with him, Wisconsin and Nevada definitely go with him. Meanwhile, I feel like Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Arizona would most likely hold on to Democrats in a Trump landslide. All right, now finally we have the toss-up states, the tilt states that I'm really not sure about, and I really need to see more data come out about before I'm able to truly predict it. We'll start with the Republicans, and that state for the Republicans that I think is tilting their way narrowly is the state of Ohio. Sherrod Brown is very popular, I think, and he's won in conditions that should go against him, but I think that he will lose to Bernie Moreno this year. I think this is going to be the most contested Senate seat of the entire night, and I don't think either candidate is going to run away with it. Currently, Sherrod Brown is leading in pretty much every single poll here, but Ohio is a notoriously hard state to poll. And the final state is going to be the state of Michigan. I have Michigan as a tilt Democratic state. I think Elise Slotkin most likely does win in most scenarios. However, it is very, very slim. I think that the chances of her winning continue to get slimmer by the day. I just think she's not a very strong candidate, and it's very likely that she ends up losing the seat. However, currently, with the state of the race in Michigan, I think that she most likely will get pulled ahead. So there we go. There's my final prediction for the United States Senate. Republicans pick up 3 seats in the seats of West Virginia, Ohio, and Montana, as well as Democrats retaining pretty much everything else, with a true toss-up being the state of Michigan. If Republicans are able to flip the state of Michigan, they will have 53 seats to the Democrats' 47. Currently, they are going to have 52 to 48. Thank you for watching. Leave in the comments below your prediction for the United States Senate. What other videos do you want to see from me? And go ahead and subscribe for future election predictions. I'll be doing this throughout the rest of the year, and I'm excited to continue.